Hello, hello. Welcome, you beautiful souls. So good to have you here. Okay. I think I got the computer all adjusted there. People coming in. Storm coming in. Beautiful. All right. All right. Today, you guys, I want to talk about visualization, auto-suggestion, like the power of auto-suggestion, really get into this. And the biggest topic of them all, productivity. Let's talk about becoming the person that completes things. Let's talk about the productivity game. Let's talk about, in general, just making the most out of your day, because if you can own your day, you can own your life. Right? So we'll start with the morning. What's the first thing that you guys do when you wake up in the morning?
Thank God. Do my best to remember to thank God or the universe, goddess, whatever that is for you.
Yeah, I love that. Gratitude. Yeah, connecting spiritually. It's really powerful. You can do that just when lying in bed. If you're getting up out in the sunlight, closing these two eyes to open your third eye, it can all be really helpful in this too. I think one of my all-time favorite things to do, yeah. One of my favorite things to do when I wake up in the morning is to laugh, to find a reason to tap into those positive emotions right away. So oftentimes I still co-sleep with my son. So we'll tickle him or do something funny to laugh with him, get those positive emotions flowing before there's a chance of anything else coming in, like a to-do list or, whatever else happens, some other great things to really get in the mornings, you guys, would be drinking water before anything else. It's going to be so great for just waking up your organs, getting yourself, stimulated, energized, helping with to just filter and release, not to mention the fact that we actually wake up super dehydrated. We use a lot of water. We lose a lot of water. I mean, when we're sleeping, I guess we do use it up in a sense too. It's every breath, there's little water vapors that just get released. And so we wake up dehydrated. And if you're going for coffee first thing in the morning, or for Mountain Dew, or for food, or anything, a cell phone, anything other than a glass of water when you get up, or, for some laughter, or some gratitude practice, then this is something that I really encourage you. Just try it out, just for today, just for tomorrow, just for a week. Give yourself, whatever it is that you need to start that practice and just see what the difference is, and if it's working for you, keep on going with it. This is part of the productivity game, is getting better each day, taking a look, doing a time audit. How are you spending your time already, and how can you optimize on it? Aubrey Marcus wrote an amazing book called Own the Day, Own Your Life, I think, or it was Own Your Morning, Own Your Day. I can't remember. It was something about owning your life. And it was wonderful. And he brought in all of these amazing aspects, ways that we do live our life, things that come up naturally, right? Like, we're all eating every day. We're all communicating every day. We're all taking breath. So why not be mindful and optimize on our breath work, right? So this book, it was so great. I've read it a long time ago, so I can't remember it, the title right off the top of my mind, but I do know the author, and I'm sure many of you are followers of him too. So go check it out. He brought in all of these aspects, as I said, and he dug into them each. And the nutrition piece I found really important too. Like, what are you guys eating in your day? if somebody wants to come off and just let us know, what are you getting in your diet? One thing that you'd want to change and one thing that's working that you want to optimize on.
Well, for me, one thing that's working is that I am eating, and I am getting protein in. And that is key for me, in particular, to make sure I get enough protein in for my day. I think this week I overbooked my refrigerator. And what I would like to change about it is, particularly because there's been a heat wave in here. So, it wasn't ideal timing for me to be using hot oven or, planning that a little bit better, to really shop more frequently, instead of having a fridge, which feels a little bit booked up, and particularly with hot cooking and things of that nature. So I feel like I have a little too much food for me in that fridge right now. And that's just me noticing that, right? Noticing sometimes that I did that, and pulling back a little bit on how much I purchase at one time.
Yeah, there's a lesson in all of it, right? Whenever we feel like something isn't working, it's good to do that introspection work, to just question yourself a little bit, so that, not in a negative way, but question yourself enough that you can optimize on the situation. Now, especially in warmer weather, do smaller shops more frequently, keep everything fresh. And way to go on increasing your protein intake too. It's really important. Depending on the diet, and there are lots of diets available. Trust me, I know, going to nutrition school, we learned hundreds of them. It's really important to figure out what it is that your body needs and optimize on that. Ask yourself these questions. What did I buy? Do that audit too. Like, what did I buy at the grocery store? And then take a highlighter. I've given this homework to clients in the past. Just highlight in one color all the foods that make you feel good. In another color, all the stuff that you bought just because it was on sale, or because you went into the store hungry, or because you had a craving. And ask yourself those questions. How can I optimize on how it is I'm spending my money? How can I optimize on what it is that I'm feeding my body? Because we are what we eat, and we want to be eating the food that's going to fill us up and fuel us for all of the work that's ours to do. We don't want to be the ones holding ourselves back, or the ones to be spending our money in a way that's not in alignment. We want to be growing in this way. So, does anybody else want to go in on this one, or share something in your life that you'd like to optimize on right now when it comes to productivity?
I have a comment on too much in the fridge. Sometimes repurposing things, like maybe you can make crackers with some of your extra vegetables, or freeze them, make a meal and freeze them. Or when I used to go out of the country, I would make a meal, dehydrate it, and then package it so that when I traveled, it would be a prepackaged food. Yeah, that all I had to do was add water to it. So repurposing extra food is always a fun practice to do too, and see how you can use it, and so it doesn't really go to waste.
Thanks for that. Yeah, my higher self actually, you just reminded me, had mentioned, specifically mentioned, for those of you who don't know, I have a clairaudient gift that comes on, so it comes in word format. And she was saying that use the tomatoes I have to make cold tomato soup. And now you just reminded me as well with the vegetables on the crackers. Thank you, Juliana. That I could actually take some of the vegetables, because some of the greens frozen in the fridge, because it's like there's a balance of how much food in the fridge and the temperature. And so I'm a little concerned about eating those greens fast enough. I was going to make a huge salad as part of my cool meal today, but I could actually combine them into the cold tomato soup, and that would be my remedy for it as well. So thank you for that comment. That was helpful.
You're welcome. In regards to food for me, yesterday I was craving pizza, and I was like, but I don't really need pizza. It's so slow on digesting. And then I wanted ice cream. And I was like, I don't eat ice cream. So I went to the store with the intention to get ice cream, and I looked at the ingredients and I was like, no, I don't like these ingredients. I don't want cane syrup or corn syrup or and then I found dragon fruit, frozen dragon fruit. And then I was like, what would good with that? So coconut water and aloe vera. And so on all of these funny cravings I was having, I naturally chose something that was more hydrating. And so that's what I've been drinking last night and today, and it's been so hot. So I enjoy, even if I'm having a crazy craving, is there something better I can get in the store? So that's what I've been practicing.
I love that. Just the self-contemplation. It's so powerful. And you make a good point here too. You know, the dehydration food, we do a lot of that in our travels too, but because it holds and preserves the food for a long time. And on trips, when it's hot, cold, you can't. When it comes to the frozen food, it's really awesome if you're at home or homesteading or in somewhere where it's a hot climate, because it actually freezes all the nutrients when it's at its top quality. You know, when you're getting produce from a store that's room temperature, we'll say, oftentimes it's picked prematurely, which means it hasn't hit its nutritional peak. And then it's transported for a long amount of time, sometimes developing mold, sometimes sprayed with pesticides in the truck to stop from fruit flies and things like that. So there's a lot of things when it comes to produce to consider. However, when we're buying frozen, it's being picked at its top maximum nutrition quality, when it's at its finest, its ripest, and oftentimes flash frozen. So you have about 6 months or so that it will stay in your freezer at this top nutrition before it starts getting freezer burn or anything. And yeah, we are absolute advocates for the frozen food and making those kinds of choices ourselves, especially with kids, because it's like a snack. You know, frozen grapes or the frozen blueberries is one of Finn's go-tos. Like, he just loves those. He'd eat them all day, every day if he could. Right. So when it comes to productivity, so we've made it through, you know, our mornings. We've talked a little bit about our diet and nutrition. Now, what about the whole center portion of our day? You know, we got approximately 14 hours in a day that we can utilize. I mean, we can use our sleep hours too and do some of that self-hypnosis, but we've got like 14 hours of quality day there for us. What do you guys do with your day? How do you spend your days? How do you spend your days currently, a place where you'd want to improve? And what do you spend, or what do you do in your day that you truly love and adore and would want everybody doing? Does anybody want to go there?
Well, I'll go. Well, most of my day is often spent driving place to place. Um, I don't like to loiter or hang around too many places for too long. So I usually only stay somewhere for about 2 hours. And depending on the neighborhood or where I am, I'll utilize that time for either meditation or for work or reading, working on booking clients, and a few other work style things. Um, but it all depends on where I am.
Yeah.
So that's how I spend most of my day.
Yeah. So a lot of people would be other than the travel all the time, which I know a lot of people commute, but Juliana is a van lifer, so it's a bit of a different cycle, kind of similar to me, being on the road a lot and different locations. But most people would be spending the daytime working in general. So here's some rule of thumbs when it comes to just utilizing that time. That's doing that contemplation work again. What's working? What's not working? And what are some action steps? And I always like to do this in the morning before I get into my work day. I also do it again at night to clear my mind and make sure that I'm going to be dreaming on how it is that I'm going to manifest a better day the next day, and also do a recap. So that is one step that I think would be relevant for everybody. Now for Juliana, specifically, and other people who may be, you know, spending a lot of time on the road like myself, something that I like to do is categorize what my work tasks are. So for example, I have cell phone tasks. Cell phone tasks can be broken down even more into Wi-Fi tasks or not Wi-Fi tasks. You know, so like the phone organization of pictures and deletion and all that can be done when there's no Wi-Fi. Anything to do with content creation, posting, follow-up. Follow-up I can actually do without Wi-Fi because I'm lucky enough to have most of the people I engage with, I have their phone numbers and can keep in touch that way. So I can do that without Wi-Fi. But other follow-up, like on Instagram or anything like that, that needs to be in a Wi-Fi space. So I have lists of tasks, like to-do lists on these things. You know, there's also another one for things I do on the laptop. There's another one of things that I need to do when I unplug, because that is something that I make a list for. I think it's very important that we do the digital detox at least once a day, especially if you're somebody who does everything online, like kids' education online, your own education online, working online, entertainment online, shopping online. Take a digital detox time and make a list of things you're going to do for work or for your you know, that vision that you have of yourself is that, you know, if you're just launching your business, you know, what's that vision? What are some tasks that you can do to get to that vision that are online? Maybe it's brainstorming or, you know, art in another way, creative in that way. That's normally what I do at that time. Does anyone have any questions around this or anything else that they want to add around anything in this area?
Will you actually use a calendar and block your calendar in that regard after you've thought out your day, or if you know you're working, you know, working out? I'm just talking, I mean, obviously, if you have things that are booked, they're booked, you know, that's one thing, but in terms of, you know, blockchaining, so to speak, your calendar, you know, with projects or with certain things that you've been brainstorming on or what have you, will you like be mapping out your week, you know, your schedule, where you're driving to, you know, where you're going to be in Wi-Fi, where you're not typically? Is that you're doing that with a calendar?
Yes, so this is a great question. And I do with a calendar, but I also take it a step further in a lot of different directions. For example, my calendar, I change it up every season because I think that we're ever changing and, you know, tap into nature, like my first book, you know. So that's how I program myself to be in alignment, change with each season. So I do make a basic generic calendar on what I do each block of the day, and I optimize on it every season. So sometimes things stay the same season after season. Sometimes they change a little bit, but there's other things that can be released or changed. So when I have this basic calendar, or the generic calendar, we'll say, I put it together with a dream board. And I have Canva templates that I could send you guys. And I fill in or adjust the dream board pictures as well as my calendar so that I have a desktop version of it. And every time I turn on my laptop, I see it. And then I also have a version for on my cell phone. I do have my cell phone here so I can show you, but it's just on my lock screen. I see my vision board and my calendar every time. Well, now you're getting my passcode entry, so that's not helpful. Let me see here. There we go. And there's no apps on my screen. There's nothing to distract me. All my apps, you have to actually go up. So my calendar is there, and I can give you these templates. And as you see, I have it even blocked off, like my morning, my afternoon, my evening. And here's the thing, other stuff comes in between, like travel, or my client calls aren't on here. And I've got sometimes the same clients week in, week out. I could have taken the time to book that client in, but that's on a separate, I get it all as an email through my scheduler process. So I know where everybody is. Plus I got a really great memory, so I'm pretty on it. So that's how I do that. It's like I have my blocks, and if something else comes in, I'm consciously making the decision, I want to work with this client instead of doing this thing that I booked in for my self-care, for my kids, for my family. And so every single time I make that decision, and every single time I'm choosing the client, it's for a reason. And then I show up for that client even more intensely because it was a decision. And decisions are power. Decisions are what empowers us. Decisions are what gives us self-confidence. Does that make sense a little bit? Yeah. So I do have my time blocks, and I have them so that I can visually see them consistently. Then all of my extra stuff is emailed to me, and I have other ways of keeping track of it, just programs that I've instilled in myself over time. What's something else on time blocking? I want to add too of habit stacking. Has anybody heard of this yet?
Only from my higher self, it's come up recently about habits.
Okay. So habit stacking essentially is like, if I have something on my calendar here, something that I do every single day that I wake up. So like it says at 6 a.m., rise and shine with my son, or arise with the sun and laugh with my son. So and that is put in for the whole 6 o'clock hour. The only thing I have to do in 6 o'clock is that one thing. And as long as I can wake up with the sun and make my son laugh a little bit in the same 2 seconds that it takes, then I feel good, like I've accomplished something in that hour, and everything else is extra. So habit stacking would be, once I have that habit established, then it's easier to add in something else. Like, let's say a journaling practice, and you can do this with brushing your teeth. Everybody brushes their teeth oftentimes at the same time every day because we develop habits naturally. It's our decision whether we want to keep them or not, because some are service and some don't. A lot of the time they're unconscious, but they're there. Whenever anybody comes to me and says, oh, I'm not good with routine, I'm like, do a time audit of your day. I'll tell you, you've got routines that you don't even know you have. But if you're doing something like brushing your teeth, same time of every day, or grabbing your coffee, same time every day, walking your dog, same time every day, you can habit stack that with something else, like affirmations, or like a HIIT workout, or like watching the sunset or sunrise, or whatever. So then you can get in these extra things, and this helps you be more productive. Back to that productivity game. Anyone else have anything else around this area? Midday?
Yeah, I'm going to throw in what helps me to optimize and I think is something that I need to optimize more on, as I've mentioned to you a few times, is when you set a timer. So you already have the area blocked off in your calendar, right? So to give a practical example, and since food's been a topic of the day, how to habit stack while you're cooking. So you know you're gonna make a meal, it's gonna take about 20 minutes to make, and while the food is cooking, you can be chopping more food. That's one example. The other example is you can be doing the dishes while you're waiting for the food to cook. And to put yourself into a nice flow state, you can have it stacked by having affirmations on while you're listening and doing dishes and cooking. To which further, I like to take it to setting a timer for 10 to 15 minutes, and then it cues me up for that focus of sprinting, so to speak. You set yourself a timer, you're going to see how many dishes you can make in 10 minutes. You're going to see how fast you can get the meal done in 10, 15 minutes. You're going to see how many pages of a book you can read in 10, 15 minutes. And you'll go through a lot more than if you sit down blocked off for a 2-3 hour time slot, and then you'll read your book really slowly because you're not,
Not paying
you have the
attention.
time to sit. But when you have that timer set, and I took this reference from Jim Quick when he was talking about speed reading. And he said, when you're sitting in traffic and you're going really slowly, stop, go, people bump into each other because they're not really paying attention. You pay the most amount of attention typically when you're going faster. And to optimize on blocking out that one spot in your calendar to habit stack with setting a timer to see what you can fit into those 10 minutes, be it audiobooks, affirmations, recording affirmations. I used to like to, if you get up and you're journaling in the morning, you can do it, you can record affirmations while you're journaling from what you're journaling about. Or I used to go for a walk, do the sunset, and record affirmations. And then I'd get the Trinity text and stuff out just as I was out walking and talking to myself. And again, give it, a certain amount of time to get the stuff out of your system, and then you can just move on to the next task.
Yeah, thank you, Tristan. Alarms really, they help in two ways. One, for keeping us accountable, because we can set alarms in our phone too to each one of the things that are in our scheduler. So then we know, okay, then hours up, beep, next. But it also helps, like Tristan said, in just how much dishes can I get done in this amount of time? It challenges you to be better. And don't we all want to be better, especially at those things, so that we don't have to do them so much or for so long? Because it takes up a large amount of our time. But if you insist on simplifying it and you insist on getting better, it's going to take less time. And I'm one of those people, I'll do dishes at anybody's house, so I don't really care. That's not a good one for me. It's like meditative for me. I don't know. But yeah, but it's still good to do. It's good to test yourself, challenge yourself in that way. So let's, yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say I like that comment as well, Tristan, because I take stock of what comes my way. Like twice the bumblebee has come my way spiritually, and what is coming up. A number of good things come up about the bumblebee, but aside from achieving the impossible, but also they didn't know why the bumblebee could fly, and the fact is it flies because it flaps its wings a lot faster than everybody else. This outweighs its body weight, which they didn't think was possible in its flight plan because it's heavier than its wings. And so it was a sign in the reading to actually do things faster. And here you are giving it again. So just noticing.
Yeah, we gotta love those synchronicities and animal totems when they come. So I'm just gonna bring this to a close today with one more question about our evenings. How's everyone spend their evenings? What's something in your evening that's going really well, that feels good and in alignment? And what is something in our evenings that we feel we could add in or improve upon?
I'll go.
Itchy. Oh, okay. Go for it.
Oh, no, Juliana, if you want to go, you can go first.
Okay, I'll make mine quick so you can go too. So my evening always changes based on where I am. And for example, last night I found a book at this house I'm staying at, and so I began reading it. So this is actually something new. I don't have this book myself, but then yeah, based on where I am. So now this new book, it's I have set a new goal for myself that I'll finish the book before I leave this house.
Yeah, reading. I loved it.
So yeah.
Yeah, I could read all day, every day. If that was just my job, it would be okay. I love what I do. I love my job, but man, I love books too. And I see my stack piling up. It's awesome. You remind me of when I was in South America, and I had just passed down to me a book that was just left on a bed that was, it changed my life forever, called Squirting Milk on Chameleons. So I love when we find those too. All right, Tristan, what have you got for us?
So my evening usually consists of unplugged time. It consists of self-regulation time, that meditation piece. And sometimes I like to throw in a little bit of exercise as well, because I find it helps with feeling that self-regulation and that healing. At night time before I go to bed, it's that self-healing time. It's the time to really assess how I'm feeling physically, to, I think, like you said, do a review of the day. And I think always optimizing in the evening is the most important part of the day, because as Juliana said, and perhaps we may all even have noticed, that the evenings are very dynamic. They can change day to day depending on the outcome of the morning and the afternoon, depending on how well we stick to those time blocks and schedule. Sometimes the end of the day turns into catch up, and sometimes if something is just different, for example, the dinner we had, my father caught his first turkey for the first time of turkey hunting in probably 20 years of hunting, so it was a big deal that he got to cook that. And then that left extra dishes, it left extra in general. And, when it spills over into the next morning, it can throw off your whole day. So I find that evening, like you said, preparing for the next morning is important. And for me, I would feel that my evenings are where I need to optimize the most on. And I can even trying to express it to you, that I feel that even I have missing information for myself as to how to best optimize the evenings. Maybe I need more affirmations at night instead of first thing in the morning.
Yeah, well, affirmations can be good for both, because we're in the hypnotic state when we first wake up, the first 30 minutes, and before we go to bed. So I always like to say in the evenings that it's good to think about, like, mornings breaking fast. In the evenings, I like to close the kitchen around 7 o'clock, or, eat the big meal earlier in the day. That way you are releasing and starting your fast as you're going to bed. I think that's a really big one. And also reviewing your day, like's already been mentioned, and releasing, this exercise piece is also really important. It can bring you into that meditative state, so that when you are doing the affirmations at night, you can really get them deep in. I love what you're saying too about, you know, just as an example that, you know, there was some stuff left over. How often do we do that? I think we've all done that. And it's really important to come back to that affirmation of I'm doing something for myself today that the version of myself tomorrow is going to thank me for. You know, it's not good to stay up late to make sure everything's finished. You know, have some grace with yourself, but also know what your priorities are. And yeah, I want to thank you all for being here. I'm gonna go for now because I got some stuff coming up, but I love you all so much, and I hope you got a lot out of this call today. I'm here if ever you need me. I love you. Bye.